Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, welcome to the Beacon TVL show, the weekly podcast from Beacon DeFi, your beacon in the world of decentralized finance. I'm your host, Professor Chris, the DeFi professor. Got a great show lined up as we tackle the news of the week that's relevant to you, our dear users in the world of on-chain investing. Today on the show, we have, believe it or not, just me. Shout out to Joey Scarberry for one of my favorite earworms of all time. An earworm is a song that gets into your head and never leaves. And for me, that's his song, which is the theme song from the great TV hit show from the 1980s. And I'm aging myself badly, The Greatest American Hero. So if you remember that song, tell me in the comments. It's one of my personal favorites. I was going to sing it, but I realized it's probably not the best thing for business. Although if you watch any of my personal streams, I sing all the time now, apparently. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into some of the, as my voice breaks, apparently allergies in the fall are really getting to me. Hopefully you're having a great week. It's a bit of a new day one for me, guys. I will say that. Just with regards to what I'm doing as a DeFi professor, we're open for business with a new streamer coin and Zora coin as well. So talk to me offline if you want to talk about that type of stuff. But let's talk about the news that I think will probably honestly work out well for everybody here. And we'll start by going to, I literally just clicked remove on the screen share. It's one of those days. Let me make this one a little bit bigger. Let me make this bigger. Let's talk about the market. So a couple of narratives on the market to talk about today. One is probably here with the top gainers, Ironfish. I don't know if this is the W Iron token. There is a W Iron token, and that is technically on base. But regardless, it's not in the agenda for today. But Coinbase acquired Ironfish. I want to say back in March. It was a while ago. And what was interesting about this is that specifically with what this provided, Ironfish is a privacy protocol. So they're looking to create privacy transactions would be the way to go about it. And they're going to try and make Coinbase.com and most likely Base, because it'll probably come from Base, the technology for that, to provide private transactions for their customers. Will that help specifically with the customer service problem? I don't think so, but good idea to have that out there, right? Looking at the market, well, we're in a situation where, man, trade wars can really pull up some interesting things. Again, and I've said this on several occasions, whether it's in our mastermind, whether it's in any community calls or calls I've been on, my eyes are technically right now on Japan. They have a new prime minister, their first female prime minister. Congrats to them. She's got some interesting views on, and frankly, she's not a traditional populist, but she's definitely doing some pro-Japan stuff. So I'm curious to see if the Bank of Japan does anything to mess with rates, because that could be a very bearish indicator if that's the case. But we'll just keep looking, right? Escalating trade war. We're honing in on November 1st. The art of the deal is playing out to something right now, because we're in a situation where it's possible that in the event that President Trump cannot strike a deal with President Xi, we're looking at 155%, I believe, is the tariff that would be going on China. So we'll see. You want to poke the bear? We're going to see someone poke the bear, looks like, because I don't think that we'll see a lot of movement there. Maybe we will. Maybe the government will reopen by then. We'll see. From a bubble standpoint, we are looking, this is of the year on the day. I keep thinking that when I see something like this, and this is me with my old Web 2 thing, I keep thinking that this means this is what's being selected. Uh, no, it just means that this is what's green, that's good for the year, and this is what's down. So green, yes, we are up on the year. Hard to believe we're almost into November, right? And I love sweater weather, but I was not ready for a 40-degree morning this morning when I woke up. But overall, the market is fairly red. Not a shock given all of the way that Bitcoin is moving. Good news is, and this isn't in the agenda either. One thing that was reported was that there's more than in the last 3 months, as of like a couple weeks ago, there's nearly 50 new Bitcoin digital asset treasury companies have been formed. That means essentially that we're going to see a lot of movement, hopefully, in more companies just buying Bitcoin. Now, with that said, most of these companies have formed, but not all of them have bought the asset yet. For you as a retail investor, you may be thinking, oh, great, I'll just go buy that stock. It has tremendous upside. Yeah, you can get the exposure for that, but why not just buy the asset? Go to a centralized exchange, go into DeFi, just buy some Bitcoin, hold it in a hardware wallet. I think you have just as much, if not better, exposure doing that than investing in any of the 1 to 65 companies that are going to be having a stock that's around buying Bitcoin as their primary digital asset strategy. With that said, there's multiple companies that are doing that. I'll go and open another tab here. We'll look at crypto treasuries app. I have it bookmarked. If you've been watching our series on staying safe and secure in this space, make sure that you bookmark apps. It is important that you do so. Please do that. It is one of the slower websites to load. I don't know if there's just that much data. Invest in a cash, by the way. Uh, Crypto treasuries. There we go. So as you can see, oh, this has grown a lot. It doesn't have everybody because we just had a report. There's 48 companies that were put together, but these are companies from around the world, and you can of course look at their market cap to net asset value ratio here to kind of give yourself an idea of what you think might be a decent one to look into. But these are all companies that have treasuries specifically around Bitcoin. Now, the TMT, the Trump Media and Technology Group, actually have an ETF that they're coming out with that's going to be Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, XRP, and Crypto.com Pro. So that one's going to be a little bit different. But looking at the other companies that have digital asset treasuries, Ethereum, Solana, BNB, Doge, ENA, Hype, Litecoin, Sui, Tau has more than two now. There's a couple others that are coming. I want to say there's also one for Pengu. There's one for Bonk. Where's the one for Bonk? Anyway, Tron and XRP. So there's a lot of these companies that believe in the future and the potential of digital assets. The market may not necessarily reflect that today, but just know, they're definitely loading up because these things aren't happening if they don't truly believe in the potential. When the President of the United States is considered the largest influencer for crypto on the planet, maybe that's not the best example. Maybe some people will just kind of run away from that idea because ultimately the world of digital assets and crypto should be decentralized, meaning no one should be. Let me put that. IBO. Here's the link. I'll put it here. CryptoTreasuries.app is the website. Check that out. Keep tabs on it. There's a couple of Dune dashboards out there as well. If you use Dune.com, you can certainly check that out as well. Let's do one little thing before we move on. Let me just make sure that I am correctly online, which I believe that I am. Okay, let us move on. So, biggest news of the week in the world of DeFi outside of the market just looking like a bit of poo poo. Uh, it's not terrible, right? If we look at the indicators on TradingView, and I don't have indicators here. Let's see. I don't have the ones for like the bull market support band. We're roughly around there. Everything is playing out to a degree the way that it should. It all depends on where we close this week, right? So overall, outside of that, biggest news of the week in the world of DeFi to me is this. Well, there's actually quite a few, but we'll start with this. So the name of the show this week is Up Only in Uptober. That's a nod to Kobe and also to Ledger. Shout out to those guys for uh, having some of the most insane moments in Web3 and DeFi podcast history. I was there live for the for the Up Only episode where they had not only Martin Shkreli, who came on later, but Sam Bankman-Fried and Do Kwon all on one stream, and was headlined by the fact that Martin Shkreli said, "Don't worry, prison is not that bad," which is unbelievable. I can't imagine a world where prison's good. That's just me personally. Uh, I'm trying my best to live life so I never even get a sniff of that, to be quite honest. But regardless, great moment in podcast history. And Kobe had this idea to create an NFT for a season of Up Only to the highest bidder for $25 million. Coinbase not only bought the NFT at 25 million, they then acquired Echo and Sonar, which was a democratized fundraising platform where the everyday retailer could be in the same room as angels and other VCs on upcoming founder projects. Um, for with the total for 375 million dollars, bringing it to a cool 400 million to own essentially what's one of the better known, or if you want to say the hottest, on-chain fundraising properties around. No disrespect to some of the InfoFi or AttentionFi launch pads. Echo and Sonar are just in a different visibility tier. We'll call it that. This is actually a very interesting acquisition. In fact, Coinbase has had an amazing merger and acquisition, M&A, right? Merger and acquisition year. It's been amazing for them. So I think the part that's the most interesting for me on this is what are the signals that this acquisition actually provides? What are the second and third order consequences for doing something like this? So we're in a situation where they have purchased Echo and Sonar. They're looking to bring the base app to mainstream people. Will they open up Echo and Sonar so that anyone in the base app can be a crowd-funded source to get in on fundraising deals? Imagine a social app like the base app, which is the original Coinbase wallet, now being used in such a way where not only can you just send money to your friends or split checks at restaurants or bars, you can also use your USDC or whatever assets you have to invest in upcoming companies who need fundraising. Interesting idea, right? How do you get around the elegant way to mitigate projects that go south? I don't think that you can, but if you think about it, we already have Kickstarter and we have Indiegogo, a place where you can go to get in on products that don't exist yet, and you're crowdfunding or being part of that process. There's no guarantee that anything's going to happen with the product, right? You're not, it's nice if you get it if you're an early backer, no guarantee that you will. And I think that's kind of where this might go. I could be completely off the mark on this, but it's an idea. because they're looking to make Base, the decentralized blockchain, around what's going to become the global creator economy. Doesn't matter if you're creating as a business, a founder, a service, or just an everyday investor. You pile that in as a section of the app, you pile in Ironfish with the privacy portion, and then all of the other social functions that are in there. Because Farcaster has the mini apps, that's all part of Coinbase. So you can say that in a way it's kind of part of Coinbase, even though they're their own entity. They have their own layer 3 built on top of layer 2 base, first of all. But if we just kind of look at that as like the Coinbase version of Twitter, because for the most part, it is, right? I'm not sharing my screen. I just realized that. That's my fault. I mean, it is. This is Farcaster. This is what it looks like. There are many apps that you can do along the side to play and have great experiences. Farcaster is fantastic for bringing that to the limelight. And now we have Zora, which in a way, if you think about it, now with these creator coins, is essentially like having Instagram, right? Because you have short form video that's allowed there. Live streaming is in there, just like you can do inside of Instagram. And people are posting art, NFTs, music. I use it for educational material. It's interesting to see how we now will have versions of what was originally around us here in what we call Web 2, now here in Web 3. And Coinbase is, in a way, the engine of a lot of this, which honestly was not something that I saw coming. And hats off to Jesse Pollock and the team at Base for kind of looking at all of this and figuring out an interesting way to keep going with a new narrative, right? And that's what's really great about what's going on. So the real question is the Base vision becoming clearer? Well, for those who are interested, they did talk about looking at a token. Now, when our community first got wind that Arbitrum, layer 2 blockchain, was possibly doing an airdrop, we specifically did a variety of things. We went and changed our usernames. We put like on Twitter, we had like a blue heart and an orange heart. You know, we went into certain bridges. We did Arbitrum Odyssey. There were a lot of things that we were doing. But I can tell you that a lot of it was centered around doing a campaign for an entity called guild.xyz. Well, guys, we now have a category for Base on guild.xyz, which, in my opinion, in plain terms, means that an airdrop is definitely coming for Base. Not only just a token, but definitely an airdrop. I think that there will be multiple ways to get this airdrop. This will be just one of them, right? You can join the guild, connect things on. Do they even have a Discord channel? I'm sure they do. But look at all this stuff that's on here. These are all things that if you didn't think to do, consider doing. Get a Base ENS or a Base domain name, right? You have to make a transaction on Base to unlock the on-chain page. Many people will be able to do that. If you're a builder or a founder, unlock that. There may be a separate drop just for you as a builder or founder here in the ecosystem. For those shaping the culture and narrative, hopefully I get a decent chunk of that. We do a lot of Base content here at Beacon. And then just using Coinbase verifications. That attestation, yes. KYC yourself. Go ahead and dox your wallet right here. Do that. And then, obviously joining the guild. And apparently nearly 492,000 already have, guys. So this could be either an amazing airdrop or just like a burger, or we call a coffee airdrop, which is fine because I think there will be more incentives along the way, specifically for people who build and make content about Base or Coinbase in general. Why? because that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to incentivize a creator economy using Base, uh, with all of these fantastic blockchain protocols around it for ways to, take care of the profits or the funds that you gather from being a creator on Base. That's essentially, I think, what's happening here. If you're looking for my actual take on it. An airdrop's coming. This will be a great incentive for people to go out and start making content, because frankly, that's all that airdrops are. Airdrops are just glorified marketing tactics, right? It's a pre-sale. It's the ability to farm your time, energy, in some cases money, to receive something in the future. To be clear, and I say this all the time on streams that I'm on, Base doesn't owe you anything. They don't owe you anything. They don't have to give you an airdrop. They can just release the token and let the market decide. But the fact that they're giving you the opportunity to do it is great. Are people going to complain about it? Oh, you bet you bet your booty they're going to. There's going to be a lot of people flooding this token exchange whenever it happens. But it's going to be something that's going to get a lot of people upset in some kind of way, for whatever reason. It's just kind of the way that things work. That's why FUD, which stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt, exists. People are going to FUD this to the ground, hoping to get a better entry so that when things go back up, they've got more of an allocation. Shout out to Richie. He also mentioned a couple things. If you get the Base invite code, I've had the invite code for a while. I've been looking for a way to invite people. So if anyone from the Base team is watching this, please reach out. I would love to be able to give out as many community codes as possible to our group who's been waiting a long time to get an invite into the Base app. You can, of course, go to join.base.app, put your address on there. There's a very long list of people waiting to get in. If you stay active on Farcaster, that's a great way to do it. Feel free to do that. And creating content. All great ways to be a part of what's going to be, in my opinion, when people ask, if Base is a governance token, it's going to be terrible. I don't think it's going to be a token like that at all. I think it's going to literally be a creator incentive coin, because that's what they want to build. They want to build a creator economy, part of the decentralized blockchain network that they have there. That's what they want to build. They want everyone from YouTube, TikTok, Instagram to start creating content in the Base ecosystem. Why? Because it's easy to do it and you get paid right away. That's the narrative they're pushing right now. Watch, mark my words on this. And I'm in quite a few circles with people who are in agencies, that type of thing, as a longtime content creator. People are looking at this. So creator capital markets, hell or high water, it's a thing, and it's going to be a big thing. So if you want some alpha, there you go. Well, moving on. I don't know exactly what part of the simulation that we're in, ladies and gentlemen. But we can now do a cross-chain swap inside Uniswap from an Ethereum-based or EVM blockchain to Solana and back. If you would have asked me this 3 years ago, even 2 years ago, I would have said, I'm sure Wormhole will make that a reality. Well, let's be honest. Shame on you, Wormhole, for not being the innovator of the tech. Now, Uniswap's not the first to do it. Shout out to Across, their partner, for being able to do it at this level. There's multiple other protocols I definitely can give credit to that do this already. dBridge, Layer 0, Lie.fi, and a couple of others that have already been doing. Connext is another one that have been doing this for quite some time. I'm really disappointed, honestly, that Wormhole has not been leading the charge for this, because I have no idea what they've been doing since they had the W airdrop, to be quite honest. So do something, guys. Do something. But anyway, if you want to try out the tech for yourself, you can do that here. Actually, let me do this route. And let me see if it's here. I was hoping sometime they had a little window here depending on where you were. And on yesterday's On Air with Beacon show on our Twitter space, It was just right here, like bridge to Solana. All you have to do once you connect your wallet is just go here to the asset you want to go from, and you just have to search for tokens. But let's just say I'm going from with ETH on base, right? Or let's say USDC on base. You know that because there's the USDC logo and then the little base logo right there. One day they'll change to the new base logo, which is that blue square. Is really all it is. And then the select token, let's say I want to do USDC. I have the option to go to Solana now. Didn't hold my previous one, but in any case, I need to connect to a wallet that supports Solana. I'm using Rabby, which doesn't do it. So if I use MetaMask, if I use Talisman, shout out to the Talisman team, Phantom, that also does it. So that's the reason why it's not quite working here, because I'm using Rabby. Rabby doesn't have that functionality yet. But you have the ability to send money from one blockchain ecosystem to a completely different one, which is fantastic. And while it's been available now through multiple ways, and with Solana and Base, they have this new canonical bridge between the two. So it's two-way, so the developers can actually access liquidity, either if you have SPL tokens or if you have ERC20. You can do that for developers on either side of the bridge. So yeah, it's cool that they finally rolled this out. I'll be honest, no disrespect to Uniswap, I don't normally use Uniswap because they charge if you use the interface. If I use an aggregator, kind of sidestep that. So that's not generally the way that we personally do it, but it's cool that they have this here finally. So congrats to you. Ooh, look at that. When did this happen? That's cool. I like that. That's very smart, although it's kind of depressing in some ways. Maker down 3, Link down almost 7. Yeah, shout out to the foundation team. This looks great, or the labs team who put this together. Sweet. Anyway, gonna pivot a little bit. We have an interesting article from Senator Cynthia Lummis. And I've taken the time to realize her last name is pronounced Lummis and not Loomis. First off, shout out to and congrats to Cointelegraph for actually getting her to write an actual opinion article here about this. This is actually going to be very important. So let's set this up. Let's talk a little bit about this. Well, she first talks about the Dodd-Frank Act, which is, God, I can't believe it's been 15 years since that passed. Requires the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, to ensure consumers can access and own their own financial data. Now, she's going to talk about how, things go in Wyoming. And Wyoming, to be fair, is wide open. They have a full DUNA law, which means if you're a DONA, which is if you're a DAO, you can apply for an incorporation in the state of Wyoming. There's a lot of corporations who use Wyoming specifically just for their open laws, as for LLCs and S corps and other related entities. They also have their first stable coin. It's called I think it's Frontier, FRNT, the FRNT token, which I believe started on Avalanche and now I think is on Tezos, if I'm not mistaken, which is a weird move in my personal opinion, but it is what it is. But they want to have open banking available. They also have the Bitcoin Institute there at the University of Wyoming, which is really great. So what's interesting here is that she's openly calling out the banks, as well she should. And what's interesting is that she's actually talking about currently so Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, I think his name is Vlad Tenev, the CEO of Robinhood, and a couple others are in Congress. They're on Capitol Hill right now this week talking to members of the House as well as of just Congress in general trying to get this market structure, like which used to be called the Clarity Act, I think it still will be called the Clarity Act, pushed through. So there's a specific reason, and I don't see it here. It all comes around with what Senator Elizabeth Warren is talking about, and I think she mention, yes, right here. For most people in the United States, the access to digital assets at this point is unfortunately fairly limited. Now, thanks to groups like us, we're trying to get the distribution to get the message out that everyone should get access to DeFi, open banking overall. In fact, in DeFi, it's more than open banking. You are your own bank. It's self-custody. You get to custody your assets and do with what you want with them. What's interesting is that you have, and she called him out here, big bank leaders like Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan have made their opposition to digital assets very clear, which is ironic because on the institutional side, they've been building something called Onyx. It's now called Connexus for the last 3 to 4 years. So they're absolutely talking out both sides of their mouth, right? It really just brings up the issue. So there's another article that I don't have the link to here, but specifically, the issue they have with the Genius Act is that there are provisions in there that can skirt financial rules with regards to paying yield to customers. What that means is that part of the Genius Act says that you can't have yield-bearing stablecoins, I think is the word that was used, right? So the way that people in the space have kind of fought back against that is by saying that we're not giving yield, we're giving quote unquote rewards. Well, banks don't like that at all. Why? Because clearly they see everything that's the writing on the wall, right? She says it right here. Without clear open banking rules, they could prevent customers from connecting accounts to platforms like Kraken and Gemini and completely throttle consumer choice. And this is very true. Now, thankfully, groups like Stripe, MoonPay, and groups like them have a way to onboard into crypto without having to use a bank account. You can use a mobile bank account like Revolut or some of these others that are out there to actually, or a credit card even, Apple Pay, PayPal. There are multiple ways for you to get money into the world of blockchain and decentralized finance without ever having to actually apply for an account at Coinbase. And I think that's kind of and you have to KYC for all of these, by the way. You don't get to do it anonymously. You always have to give in your KYC information, which means know your customer and just giving your identity, that type of thing. Ultimately, banks understand that there's a lot of things in DeFi that can challenge anything that they want to do. Look at the rates in DeFi. We talk about these all the time on our other calls. I'm not going to go into it here. The fact that they're making hand over fist money as a corporation on your funds that you're storing in their bank. Guys, you have to look at the idea of that. Just say it out loud. They're making an excess of 6% on you while you get 0.25%. In some cases, you can be lucky, be it like an online bank like Axon or something like a credit union that gives you 4% for your savings. But you got to have a specific amount in there, or it's just not the easiest way to get stuff in. Like they don't have you have to mail in checks and do direct deposit, which is not a big deal, right? But still, you don't have access to those funds unless you close the account. When you're in DeFi, you actually get to hold those funds and custody them yourself. You're not depositing your paycheck into a bank account and literally in a microsecond, 90% of that is gone and rehypothecated into the quote unquote machine where all their dark pools and stuff are earning interest on your money that's going to them and not you. I had a lot to say about this, just so you guys understand. But what she's saying here is absolutely correct. We need open banking. In fact, there's already groups on the DeFi side building Web3 based banks. And essentially, it's using blockchain for ledger And then they have adapters that link out to where the banks work. Now we also have that with the, with the Swift thing we talked about, last week and the week before that. 100 was it 15,000, 11,500 banks will now have access to blockchain services through Swift because they're partnering with Joe Lubin and Consensus and the Linea blockchain for that, along with Chainlink as part of a whole way to get better yields probably for their customers. So don't be shocked if suddenly your savings rate goes up 0.25%. Like, oh my gosh, we're getting you such better rates. It's only because they have better pools to go get more money off of now, right? Let's be honest about this. But good on you, Cynthia Lummis, for writing that article. Cointelegraph is a great trade publication, but let's be honest, probably a ton of people won't be reading it, and more people do need to. If you like what you're hearing, would love for you to like, to follow, to subscribe. We're very close to some milestones, on our YouTube, on our Twitter. Would love for you to support and to follow and subscribe, put on the bells, and get in with our content. If you are crypto curious and you want to know how you can make your crypto work for you, your digital assets, please consider joining our free group here at Total Value Locked. I'll put the banner here for the website, school.com/beacon. Absolutely free to join. Got a lot of free content here. Great free community. We've had hundreds and hundreds come over in the last couple months, actually, to learn more about what's going on, because right now is the absolute best time to get set up for what's going to be a very powerful and explosive 2026 for the world of DeFi, guys. The truth is that institutions and big capitalist companies have front run you into coming into blockchain. They're already here. They've been here for years. You guys left when FTX seemed to shit the bed, but all of us that stayed here, we got more Bitcoin, we got more ETH, and we're in a really great position. You can come back. You can build back better, as they like to say. And you should. The rates in DeFi are amazing right now. And we have all the resources out there to help get you educated, get you up and educated and on the right current events so you can be in the right positions to get the best in passive income. There are a lot of people just go and trade coins. That's fine. Do that. But what if you can do that? Take some of your profits or take some of your assets, get them working for you. So you're getting passive income while you wait for something to happen with your coin, right? XRP holders, ADA holders, don't come at me. I'm sure your day will come. Sure of it, because when Bitcoin goes up to whatever it's going to be, it's the tide that lifts all ships, right? Everything's got to come up with it. But if you want to earn while you continue to hold, learn about DeFi. Best risk-adjusted return in the business. Better than Wall Street. Probably better than the house that you might be struggling to sell, depending on where you are, or rental unit. It's good to have those, by the way. You should be diversifying your bag as much as possible. You don't want to be completely all in on crypto. You don't want to be completely all in on stocks. You want to have a diversified portfolio. This can be a very well-performing one, and we can help you do that. If you want the best, you want personal mentorship from me, join our fantastic community in the Beacon Mastermind. Please do that. You can do so by just clicking on the Start Here post and learn more about our offerings. School.com/beacon. Thanks to all of our current mastermind members, our founding members, and our Beacon Challenge members for helping make all this possible. We love you guys. Okay. Big narrative right now is prediction markets. And congrats to Shane Copland, by the way, and his team. I know that founder grind very well. And to grow this from a project on Polygon that he coded in his bathroom office You know, in the little office section in his bathroom. From a Polygon project to now being, you know, the election changed everything for Polymarket, right? They were doing okay, but then them able to create markets specifically on politics and geopolitics and have people pay for that changed everything. Not just for him and his team, but it's changed everything, frankly, in terms of the fintech marketplace. Intercontinental Exchange, ICE. We reported this 2 weeks ago. The team behind the New York Stock Exchange and other parts of the Wall Street there, they put $2 billion into Polymarket to have a 10% minority stake. Why? Because they understand this is the new media. This is where, if you want to call it factual information or good predictions, are going to come from. This is a meta in Web3 right now. Prediction markets, prediction Phi, taking AI and mixing it there. There's a couple other projects that are on the way that are going to be, be a hybrid of both prediction market, AI, and pump.fun. So they're really trying to load all of the different ways to do one of the simplest smart contracts on the planet, to be honest. If you're a developer and you're looking how to get into to do smart contract development, the first thing that you learn is how to do a voting app. And that's all that this is. A bunch of different voting apps, but we're calling them prediction markets. Well, the other one that came up during the election is Kalshi. And Kalshi got a little bit of mainstream news because they were being used, I believe, on, I want to say it's Fox, as another source of information just for polling people, right? Because this is a great way to poll people in real time. One day we're actually going to have prediction markets here as part of the show, just as a heads up. It's going to be great. But we were wondering, Kalshi was talking about coming on chain. They were making some interesting hires. But what were they going to do? Well, we know the answer now. This was announced yesterday, late yesterday. Jupiter now has their first market, prediction market, live with Jupiter. Is it called? It's called Jupiter Prediction Market Beta. And you can use the power of the moat of Jupiter to become a big part on this. And obviously they have some stocks, they have some crypto, but they also have apparently they have F1. So there's going to be a variety of things. Now, what will be interesting is how they turn this into liquidity, because that will be that's the AI. This is the specialty of Jupiter. They have a really good knack about optimizing and creating great liquidity strategies. So I'm curious to see specifically how they're going to turn this, or if they have some type of JLP for their prediction market. That'll be a banger asset to hold if that's the case, because Jupiter doesn't do anything on a small scale that they can't do well, or on a big scale. So bullish on Jupiter, bullish on what they're building, and this is big news for Solana, because Solana has, frankly, tripled the amount of DeFi protocols they've had in the last 12 to 18 months. It went from being like the fun people's chain to, yeah, people are starting to do some serious things on Solana. So if you're bullish on Sol, you got to be bullish on Jupe. So yeah, big news from them. Really surprised about that, actually. I mean, I'm not technically, because if Ethereum, so if we're technically, Kalshi decided to call Polymarket's bet and then on Ethereum and raise them a Solana, that's pretty much what they've done here, right? So yeah, this is big news for Solana. This is good for Solana. This is good. Solana is obviously very performant. They're very fast. Polygon and Ethereum will eventually be very fast. It works just fine. I'm not going to sit there and say that the throughput is terrible. It's fine. It works great. Now we're going to be looking at who's going to come out with a with a token first. Will it be the Poly token or the Kalshi token? Let the betting start now. Well, we'll see if there's a pre-market on whales or something like that that actually puts that out there. Be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. Another piece of random talk. Do you use a VPN? If you don't, you should. To be transparent, we have an affiliate partnership with NordVPN. You'll find that in our content. Not going to talk about them. I'll talk about Proton for a minute, because one thing we talk about in our material is to get a separate email for your crypto activities. Why? Because you don't want anything touching your personal email. Nothing. You want to separate all of your investment stuff into its own bubble. That way, if something bad goes there, something goes bad there, it doesn't come over to where you are now. You definitely don't want to be in that situation, because I have friends who have been in that situation. It is miserable to have your password manager, your personal email, and everything all tied in together. That is what you definitely don't want. If there's anything you take away from this show today, do not have one email for everything. Get Proton Mail. It's privacy focused because they're based in Switzerland, where good luck getting anything out of Switzerland these days, or ever. And they've got a VPN that's available for free that I haven't used. I use Mozilla's VPN because I like Molvad. That's just me personally. You get medium VPN speed, but this at $2.99 a month. Again, this is not a paid ad. They're not sponsored. They don't even know I'm saying this. I just think this is a really interesting deal. This is with an annual bill, but still, to be billed for $71.76 for the first 2 years. Or you can get the unlimited. I think this is still the best deal. It's not bad. I just saw it and I'm like, I should probably share this with everybody, because I would use this. One thing too, if you want to wait specifically for what could be happening. I mean, November, we're a month away from Thanksgiving. Black Friday is going to be a fantastic time to check out a lot of these subscription services and get the best deal that you can find. TradingView, MarketWatch, probably stuff like Proton and other things that are out there have fantastic Black Friday specials. We might have a Black Friday special. You never know. Something to consider if you're looking to find gifts for people. Stuff like this are fantastic gifts. They may not understand it. They're like, why'd you give me a VPN? It's because everybody has the fundamental right to privacy, ladies and gentlemen. That's the reason why. That's the reason why. If you're going traveling and you're in a hotel, you're going to wish that you had a very well-performing VPN, because nope, hotel Wi-Fi, that's not it. Public Wi-Fi, not it. Don't connect to like there's multiple people in my neighborhood whose Wi-Fi, they have a guest Wi-Fi that says, FBI protection or something like that. FBI surveillance van. Those are my personal favorites. Anyway. I need to put the link in here. Let me grab that. Thank you, Retake, for the great for the love. Appreciate you. CryptoTreasuries.app is the link for anybody who was curious about earlier. Great website. Check it out. There's also, I'll find the Dune dashboard if you just go to dune.com. And if you've never been to Dune, it's a fantastic place to get any information about DeFi. Let's see. Explore data on Dune. Well, these are the docs. I just wanted to go to, just wanted the it's almost easier to just literally search for it and then find it. So if I just go Dune.co, it's not quite the digital asset treasury. And I'm using Brave. That's not it either. There's one here from Galaxy, which probably uses a Dune dashboard. Oh, this is from July from Galaxy. Might be something to look at if you're curious about how these things work. I mean, it's just special. It's just a special investment vehicle, right? Like a SPAC, an SPV, private placement, private investment from private equity or a pipe deal, things like that. That's essentially what these are. Now, again, you can buy these. Should you buy them? No. I mean, you can. I'm not going to say no. But why not just buy Bitcoin itself and hold it in a hardware wallet? That's what I'd do. I mean, great on these guys to raise money for stuff like that. But I mean, I'd rather just hold the asset. If you care that much about Tau, if you care that much about ETH, Sol, BNB, Doge even, or Athena, ENA, just buy it. It's available. Whether you're in DeFi or you're at a CEX level, it's all available. You can hold it spot. Do it. That's the way I look at it. Don't hold a stock that has, exposure. Which reminds me of the old Robinhood before they actually started to give you actual crypto, that you just had a cash position that was literally just a position. You didn't actually own the asset. Now, perps are different, right? If you're doing perp dexes, that's a different thing. That's all we have for today, guys. We're doing just as a heads up, we're doing a special workshop this weekend on a special type of farm. You're gonna have to tune in to find out. If you're curious, check us out. Again, school.com/beacon. Did I really already? No, I didn't. I was like, did I already get rid of the screen? I did not. But yeah, again, it's absolutely free to join, guys. You can actually just send me messages if you want. You reach out to me on Twitter too, but regardless, absolutely free to join. We do this show every week, 1 p.m. Eastern. We've been doing it since December of 2021. All we do is educate, guys. All we're here to do is educate, share the news, get takes. We'll have a great panel next week or a new protocol to introduce you to along with the takes. And that's what we do in this show. We're here to give you the analysis and stuff that you're looking for off the news to see if that's something that you can do with your investment portfolio allocations. Of course, none of this is financial advice, right? Do your own research. Continue to do so. And I wish you the best of luck on anything that you do. Of course, reach out. Happy to be a resource to you if you need anything. With that said, we're going to be back live Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern for our Beat the Banks free community training. I cover something every Friday. I've been doing that since January of 2022. Beat the Banks has been something we've been doing since then. Isn't that crazy? So yeah, tune in then if you want to check something out, or if you just want to let anybody else that you know, have them check out. They're crypto curious. They're DeFi curious. They want to figure out, I've made some money from trenching. I took some of those coins and I put them into USDC. What should I do with it? We'll tell you exactly what to do with it. Plenty of great ways to do stablecoin farming. In excess of 20%. You won't get that from a savings account, for sure. Anyway, we'll see you Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern for that. With that said, take care. Good to see you. 07. Beacons up. Banks down. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.